Okay, what's going on, guys? And welcome to a brand new episode of Energized. Today we have a very special guest on the show.
We have the face of full-time Devils. We have Mr. Adam McKola. Adam, how are you doing?
I'm all good, man. I thought Andy Tate was here for a minute. What's happening?
Shout out Andy Tate, man. What a legend. What a legend.
He's a legend.
He's like a full-time Devils version of Troops. Like, you know what I mean? When he goes off on one, like, people have to see that.
Wait. Andy was here before Troops, I think. He was here before Troops and all them. Like, he's a special... Andy, when he done them, I know like everyone remembers those videos. When he done those videos for about 2-3 months before that, Andy would just... He was a steward at Old Trafford and he'd just come and watch fan cams. And I'd say, you want to chat? And he'd say, nah.
Yeah.
And then eventually he just cracked. And that's why they were so good. Because he'd sat there for so long and never really said anything. And then one day he thought, right, I'm doing it.
Yeah.
For those few weeks, they were amazing.
Yeah, but like Adam, like fan channels are exploding. Like it's great to see these days that like people's voices are coming out. But how did you get into the whole realm of working with the full-time Devils and getting your voice out there?
So I finished my law degree and I come out of uni. And at the end of it, I got my degree and I didn't really want to do it anymore. I was just like, my heart weren't in doing that job. Like it seemed good and sexy before I did my degree, and then I was in it, and I thought, I'm not really asked for this. And I literally only graduated so my mum and dad could have a photo. It was daft. And then after that, I started working for my dad, and for my whole life, I've been going to United games. Like used to have a membership, go 10, 15 games a season, and then once I could afford it myself, season ticket every single game. So. I was going to games every time and I'd work for my dad in the property company and I'd be at my desk a lot of times and just fucking around. And I remember seeing full-time Devils had probably just started and they put a thing out saying, get in touch if you want to have a chat with us. I had no media training, no nothing.
They needed a lawyer.
Yeah, I remember jumping on Skype. Yeah, they needed a lawyer. I jumped on Skype with them, had a chat and I was like, I don't know, I like talking about football. I'd done things like, I don't know if you know of Republic of Mancunia and stuff. I'd been like a mod on their blogs, on their forums and things like that.
Yeah.
So I'd always been online doing stuff. And then I just got in touch with them. Did a video for them and it just snowballed from there really. And then I was saying to them, well, I'm at games every single week. Like, why aren't we doing anything with me at games? And I think because I weren't probably great in front of camera at that time, the content wasn't great, but I was getting it out there. And then it was like my brother recording me on my phone in the pissing rain and him moaning and holding the camera like this. And it was all over the shop. But eventually we got to a point where we got a cameraman in. We did fan cams. And it just went from there. And ever since, it's been a whirlwind, really. And it's just... I've had opportunities I never would have thought I'd get. So every day is just like... I'm just thankful for it, really.
Adam... What was your first ever United game you went to?
It was in around 96, 97 season against Sheffield Wednesday, and we won 2-0.
Did you remember the goal scorers or anything?
I can't remember the goal scorers. I think Andy Cole might have. It was all a blur, but Sheffield Wednesday, for some reason, I just think of them as a Premier League team. And then I remember another Sheffield Wednesday one a few years later where we battered them 4-0. My memories of games are very jogged up, like from a young kid. But yeah, Sheffield Wednesday was my first game, and from there, I just fell in love with it, and never looked back. Like, but the first game I remember watching on TV was the Chelsea Cup final in '94. That was the first one I can remember watching and being like, wow, look at Cantona, look at that team. Because my dad and my uncle were just United heads. So yeah,
what age you actually, Adam?
I was born in '89, so I'm 31.
You're like a year
in a
old.
few weeks.
Ross, what was actually your first game? Ross.
I actually went to see United play Chelsea, and it was 2-2. And I remember Henning Berg scored. that was like such a random memory, and I think either Di Matteo or Dennis Wise got sent off for Chelsea.
My first game was actually against it was Newcastle. It was actually 0-0. That was a great
I
way.
thought you were going to say it was against Bayern Munich in the Champions League final.
No, that would have been a great
But it
start.
must be,
Imagine that was your first
like the
game.
second, third.
No,
It
that
wasn't far off, I'd say.
well, that would have been like only the executive kids get to go there for if that was your first game. But Adam, also like the stuff you're doing right now, you're actually like living a lot of people's dreams, going to all the games because like they're so big, as it, like you already know. But like going to all the games, like doing all the fan stuff, like what a whirlwind you're like living right now.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like when it's more crazy like when I go away from England and outside of England, and you go to like we went to Australia and Singapore.
Yeah, I was just looking at them
and
stories.
like my head fell off. Like it's surreal. Like how many people notice you and like they like what you like. It's just like I do it because I just like doing it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then like that becomes like wow, these people. Like I remember when I went to America the first time. So it was very early in like I think it was under Van Gaal 2015, I think. And we went to the preseason tour, and I remember these kids that had come from India to America for the preseason tour, and they came up to me and were like, without you, we don't really get to see what happens beyond the 90 minutes. And it's like, I never really thought of it that way. Like, they don't really get to see what's happening outside or hear the voices of fans. Or maybe one week, like every week, especially at home games, we'll have like maybe a chap that's travelled from India or America or Canada.
Yeah.
We'll have an Irish Red on that goes every single week. We'll have someone from local. Like it's a fair representation of the fans. And I think a lot of people see themselves in fans that speak on there, even if they don't agree with their opinions as well. So that opens it up for them. But I didn't really fathom that until I met people outside of England, like how much closer people felt through the content. Now there's loads of different places you can go for it, and that's great. And I think the place I used to go for it was fanzines. Like I used to buy Red Issue and United We Stand and Red News. I used to go to that because it was a little bit rawer. It was a little bit, you weren't polished. You got to see like with Manchester United, everything's all 5-star and look at us. Even when we're 6th, 7th in the table, it's all look at us. Yeah. And them fanzines used to give you a little bit of insight that you didn't get. And I suppose fan channels are different, but it's the same kind of thing. You get to see like warts and all, I suppose.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. I think with fan channels, you get an honest opinion as opposed to, unless Roy Keane's at the club, you know what I mean? Those players won't go in on each other, you know what I mean? And at least, you know what I mean? If Luke Shaw looks a bit overweight, you know what I mean? You'll hear about it on the fan channel. You know what I mean? You won't hear, Solskjaer say it at a press conference after the game.
Yeah. I think there's because I come from it, there's a bit that I come from where ultimately I'm still a supporter though. So even if I think Luke Shaw's a little bit fat, I'm not probably gonna put it that way in what, to me anyway, that's how I am. Like sometimes people come on and they've voiced opinions that I wouldn't necessarily voice, and that's fine. But I try and keep a level of respect there because ultimately I can say Fellaini played shit today, but when I interviewed him, I was happy to see him. He's like someone that's living my dream. He's scored big goals for United. It's like, yes, I can think he's played rubbish in a game, but ultimately you should still be able to approach these people as a fan. And that's why I try not to overstep the mark sometimes, because people might say, oh, you just want to be friends. It's not that. I'll give my honest opinion on something.
And also you respect their time as well. Coming, like, hanging out with you, you're like, you have nothing but respect for that as well, It's tricky.
Yeah, but I think there's like you should never forget that we're supporters. I think a lot of people on fan channels like abuse their platform because it can, like, you can do so many things that can garnish attention. But I just think ultimately you got to remember your fans. At the end of the day, you want the best for the club. Yeah. So even if you have a negative opinion, it's the way you kind of share it as well. I think sometimes
this might sound like contradictory, but like Jesse Lingard, for instance, like I know obviously you've had him on the show. Like his career, like has been like he went down alone for ages, came back, like everyone loved him for dancing in the Emirates, and then like now he's like tailed off again. But like, and you're like, oh, here, like I don't think he's good enough anymore. But then like if I saw him, I'd be like, Jesse, man, just we want you to do well, you know. It's sort of like, it's weird.
It is, and it's the same. I remember seeing Jesse outside Old Town football once, and everyone was mobbing him, and it's like them same people probably go on Twitter and tweet him abuse, and it's like, I understand frustrations and fans' emotions building up and all that, but it's like ultimately you meet him, you're not going to act like that, so be yourself as well. But again, like with Jesse, like I don't know him, I'm not his friend, I don't know him, but I've spoken to him enough times to know that he is proud to be in the position he's in at the moment, and he's worked hard for it. And even if I think you think he's not good enough or he's not being good enough, which is probably true in the last 12 months, he would say that himself as well. Ultimately, like, he wants to do the best. And sometimes you just gotta, like with Andreas Pereira as well, like, he tries his arse off every single game. But ultimately, I just don't think he's good enough. And you can say both of those things, you know what I mean? He's a good lad, but he's not good enough at the moment. And I don't think there's harm in saying that. Footballers have to accept criticism of their performances. Just because I've spoken to Jesse Lingard, if I criticise him after a game and he came to me and said, "How can you criticise me?" Well, unless I've called him a cunt or sorry for like saying that.
No, you can say what you want.
How fucking dare you? How fucking dare you?
Unless I've overstepped the line and like absolutely laid into him, he can't say that. Do you know what I mean? So it's like,
it's nothing personal. It's just performance.
Yeah, and footballers are aware of that. I think they're not stupid. They're not naive, and most of them are football fans.
Yeah. Another thing, just to add to that, do you think the way they don't come out and do sort of shows now, like obviously your platform is absolutely enormous, you know what I mean, like not like I don't expect them to go onto someone's YouTube channel who has 1 subscriber, but I mean, do you think they should be more like, footballers should sort of open up more, you know what I mean? Because like we always get like MMA fighters, boxers and rugby players on the show, and it's just like it's always good crack, and it's just like footballers are sort of so guarded that
I think it's the way they brought
them.
I've worked with a lot of, not so many MMA fighters, but I've worked with a lot of boxers. One of my best mates is a professional boxer, and it's like they're brought up differently. I think footballers, especially the modern day footballer, are brought up, especially if you're if you're a Premier League footballer, you've been one of the best your whole life. Do you know what I mean? Like, yeah, you might think he's rubbish, like, oh yeah, he's crap or he plays for West Ham, but really he's been one of the best in his life. And those coming through, when they are that good, I feel footballers are very guarded, very shouted. It goes without saying. I think they should do, because of the amount of money in the game, but they have everything done for them. They're well paid from the start. Whereas boxers and MMA fighters, you'll see them, even professional, unless you're Anthony Joshua or Conor McGregor, but even Conor McGregor at some point would have had to do it. They'll be busting their balls trying to sell tickets. They'll be in gyms with just normal people on a daily basis. Like, they're surrounded by a lot more realness.
Yeah.
Boxers also, they don't have the luxury of being highly paid from an academy boxer, for example. He's not that highly paid, you know what I mean? So they're a little bit different as well. I think they mix with people more.
Yeah, it could change over like the next while, because obviously there's a younger wave coming through now, and more people are doing them. So like maybe that will change over time, because like obviously like yourselves and the few other channels are like trailblazing the way, you know.
A lot of them are seeing now that punditry is big in the game. So if I make myself a personality, I can become a pundit. And also like having their own brands and platforms and things like that are massive. So I think a lot of them will start to showcase themselves. But then as soon as a footballer shows a little bit of personality, he's ridiculed, you know what I mean? So it's difficult for them as well.
So Adam, like what year did you actually start working with the Full-Time Devils?
2013. So we got to cover Fergie's last title. Towards the end, we weren't doing fan cams and things like that, and I weren't doing loads of content as I am now. But that's when I started doing things with them. I was on their earliest videos, so it's been about 7 years now. I've been doing it, which is making me feel very old. But properly like getting into the swing of things, it's probably about 2 years later. I was always just doing bits from home and stuff like that, and then, you know, once I got more comfortable in front of camera, it just took off from there, really. And it was like a lot of things were just imagining things. Like, I remember just one day thinking, I'd love to play football with a United player. And then like our first shoot was with Brian Robson and Andy Cole, and I was like, bloody hell, playing football with these lot. And then like I just kept trying to just imagine things, and they just kept happening somehow. It's really weird, but yeah, like it just took off from there. It was never planned. I never knew what was going to happen. I didn't even think it could. I didn't think it could be. I didn't think it could be possible for someone like me to get into that, just because I didn't have the experience where I come from, like, you know, what I look like. Even not many people like me on doing things like that. So it was just like, I didn't think it's possible, and then it happened, and then I just thought, bloody hell, I got a chance here. Let's try and do as much as I can, and I never stopped that. So Full Time Devils were probably like, this geezer's keen. Let's help him grow, and they did. They helped me with a lot of different things.
Yeah, it literally is living the dream. Like, because like myself and Ross, like we did a radio show together, radio course together, and then once we were finished, they were like, right, see you later. So we just kept doing shows, and we didn't even know what to do shows about. And then obviously, like, because you do Man United, it's easy to just keep building that. So people come to your page, like, right, Man United. But like for ourselves, like, we love talking about football, but we also love talking about MMA and like rugby and stuff. So we just kept getting people on the show. But like before we start getting into the world of Man United as well, like, what was the most extraordinary thing that happened to you doing the show? Like something you may have done. Like, I know you played at Old Trafford, but like maybe meeting someone or
Eric.
Yeah.
Just Eric
the King.
Eric the King. Yeah. I went South Africa with Giggsy, which was mental. But Eric the King was, because it's like now I can't imagine me interviewing Fergie, so I can't, like, because he's not going to be in positions to do that, is he now? He's older.
I know.
He's not going to be giving media opportunities away like that. So I can't picture that. And it was kind of the same with Cantona. Like, you don't see him on YouTube channels. You don't see Eric Cantona doing random interviews with people like me. And you don't see it happening. And it's like, I remember just thinking, like, we met him. So me and Steve went to see Eric Cantona at the Lowry. It was when he had released a book, I think. He had just released a book. And we went to see him at the Lowry. And we went to see him at the theatre, and we thought, surely he's staying at the hotel. This is really psychopathic, really. So we thought, let's go have a beer at the Lowry, just on the off chance that he's staying there. So we've gone there, had a beer, and we're nearly finishing our beers now, and we're thinking, right, he's not here. And Jose's just walked past. It was the day Claudio Ranieri got sacked, and he looked pissed off, and he just walked past, and we checked our phone, and he'd just been sacked, and that was probably why. And then we're just about to go, and he walked in, and like there was a glass table in front of us, and both of our knees hit the table, so like, everything's just like jumped up, and we ran over to him, and we're like, "Oh, Eric!" Like, we just lost that. We basically turned into two little schoolgirls, and chatting to him for about 15, 20 minutes. And I remember saying to him, like, "Oh, can I get you a beer?" And that, and he was like, "Nah." And he went in there anyway in the restaurant on his own over there somewhere. So, but we chatted to him for about 15, 20 minutes, and he gave us his email address. And then when he was releasing his book, we got in touch with him. We got in touch with his publishers. We got in touch with, because he was releasing that, like, he released a book of doodles and stuff like that, didn't he? Like, only Eric Cantona could. Yeah. And I thought, let's get in touch with him. He followed us on Instagram. So I thought, bloody hell. He follows 12 people on Instagram. Jesus, this is going to happen. And then eventually it happened. We got an email and that, and it was us, BBC, and like The Guardian or something. The only 3 people had got an interview with him at that point. And it was like, this is daft. And he came in, and he came and he was like, I need some food. And he was like, mate, you can do what you want. We'll wait however long you want. Carry on. And he had some food, came in with a glass of wine and that. We already had a beer on us. And it was like, shit, it's happening. We're having a drink with Eric Cantona. Like, it just happened like that. And it was, from there, the interview was class. And you could just tell that I was overexcited, which probably ruined the interview a little bit. But like,
it's experience.
I suppose that's the beauty of it. Like,
yeah.
People are watching it, they can see, look at this dickhead, how happy he is. Like, that's how I would be. Do you know what I mean? Like, so I suppose it's all right in that sense. Shows you that it's real. But yeah, like
it's like me right now with you here. Like,
Nah, mate. Nah. It's none of that. Yo.
No.
He's just, you know how you imagine Eric Cantona?
Yeah.
It's how he is. Like, that aura, it's like there's a beaming light around him. He walks with his one up, like how you'd imagine him to, like, mate, it's different. I think the only person that could do that to me now is David Beckham.
I was just going to ask you that because, like, have you met David Beckham?
I've met him. I met him when I was a kid, like at a ground, like maybe just saw him, shook his hand or something. We weren't in the time of camera phones and all that. And then I met him at a UNICEF game. I was in the mixer zone. We just interviewed, I think, Figo, Van der Sar and all this. And then David Beckham walked through, but he didn't walk through to do interviews. He walked through to scarp her out the back. Yeah. And he pushed past all of us, but he walked past me and I remember just shaking his hand, smelling him. And just oh my God, that's David Beckham.
What about Ronaldo? Would you like to get Ronaldo? No?
Yes, but I know if you got Ronaldo, it'd be like interviewing a president, I imagine.
Yeah, or Michael
There'd be a lot going on around you. I think you could possibly get Beckham on a campaign and it'd be a little bit personable and like you could tell him, oh mate, I love you. You know what I mean? Like, it would be all right. I feel like if you told Ronaldo that, he'd probably be like, oh my God, this geezer's a psycho. You know what I mean?
He's in my house. But like, there's like there is a lot of faces on Full-Time Devils. Like who like say if Beckham agreed to do it, like who would get the chance? Because like obviously the majority
so basically,
are English. So that's your like you're Roy Keane almost.
Well, it'd be probably me or Jay or me and Jay work on the channel pretty much on a daily basis. Yeah. So it'd be one of us, but I am like the presenter almost. But it may be like Steve's my mate. Do you know what I mean? Like if an opportunity like that comes up,
you bring him along.
I'm not gonna be a knob. Do you know? I'm not. Like I understand we are all friends. This is all a dream for all of us. We probably never imagined this. Probably couldn't happen again.
It probably will happen. It probably will happen.
Like, mate, I'm talking, like, this is the thing I'm trying to speak into existence at the moment. And it's like, so I would never be that kind of guy to like, I want this interview for myself. Like, I'm not like that. Like, so if, like, Steve was like, mate, I need to come. Steve's coming, do you know what I mean? Like, so that would happen. But I think it just works on, like, a random basis. I remember when we got Matter, it was like, Sam was already filming something in Manchester with us. I was there. We're going to do Matter.
Because Dave Beckham's kids might actually watch it, like, you know, because...
possibly. I doubt it. I'm sure one of them's an Arsenal fan or something.
Yeah, but, like, who knows?
But surely if you're Beckham's kid, they probably don't even care about football. Like, you know, one of them ones, like...
You really never know. Like, didn't Brooklyn play until he was, like, 14 or something with Arsenal?
Possibly. There's a few, like, the Delo followed us on Instagram. Like, there's a lot of players. Like, as soon as Delo joined United, he followed us on Instagram. So he must have been, I don't know, following Manchester United and then got suggested.
Yeah, he went onto YouTube.
Yeah, got suggested. And then, like, we DM him and stuff like that and just say, oh, how you doing? Well played. Or I remember there's a story out there. We just DM'd him. But people watch that you wouldn't expect to watch. And yeah, it's just mental.
So Adam, let's get into it. Let's get into Man United. First of all, like, if the season finishes, do Manchester United end up in the Champions League with Man City's ban? Is that like
we're in the Champions League, right?
Yeah.
So
I think so. Yeah. So like, with I suppose the current coronavirus situation, the transfer window is going to be big. Man United might be able to actually take advantage of other clubs. Do you think that's what's going to happen?
I genuinely don't think we're going to buy many players. I think we'll spend a fair chunk of money if we're looking at Sancho, maybe an Igalo on permanent deal, and then one more. We'll probably end up spending money, but I don't foresee us spending, I could be wrong, 200-300 million. I don't see that happening. I think we've got to look at the reality of the situation. Also, the club, even if you look at last summer, they probably spent about 50-60 mil when they recouped a lot of the fee from Maguire on Lukaku. This January, they spent 45 mil on Bruno Fernandes. So we don't spend a lot of money in recent years. There seems to have been a little bit of a cutback. The summer before was was that the low one, Lee Grant? Like,
Yeah.
Like we haven't spent hundreds of millions of pounds in transfer windows consecutively for a long time. So it'd be interesting to see how we react. But they may think it's prime time because if Jack Grealish is going to leave Villa, and Villa, let's say we finish the season, Villa go down, and the coronavirus stuff, probably get him 40, 50 mil. They probably think we're never going to get that chance to get a player like that at that price again. So you may just chuck a bit extra money at it, but realistically, I can't see it happening. And I wouldn't be surprised to see us selling maybe a Delo, like a Phil Jones, Smalling, just to recoup some money and then maybe invest elsewhere. But I wouldn't be surprised to see us just sign Sancho and Igalo, to be honest.
Yeah, Gary Neville came out yesterday on Sky saying that he spoke very slowly, so I'm pretty sure that like Sky tripped it down to him to be a spokesperson, because when Gary Neville talks, people listen. But he was basically saying that like if one person goes, if they catch it, it's all like, yeah. And the funny thing is, I haven't heard someone really say that in the last like 6 weeks, which is weird to think, because like
the reality of it, though.
Yeah, oh yeah, like 100% makes sense. But I think like everyone just wanted the ball back rather than be like, right, this is what realistically could happen. Because if like Pogba gets sick, the whole United team is sick, the whole team have to withdraw from the league. But I think what's going to happen is they're just going to call it a day on it. They're going to end it. But then, yeah, Man City, they're meant to be kicked out of the Champions League. So I think United are automatically just going to go into that spot.
I think they're going to force it, you know.
What do you mean with that?
They're going to force this league behind closed doors. And I think it could have disastrous consequences. Like, touch wood, it doesn't happen. Because realistically, we're all sat bored at home.
Yeah.
Even if it's behind closed doors, stick some football on, it'd be great.
Yeah.
But realistically, if they do it, you can't keep Jack Grealish at home. How are you preventing all these players, all these people, like isolating, going to games, isolating? Like, I don't know how realistic it is. So if someone catches it, a member of staff, someone that works on a telly, oh no, manager, player, intensive care, who knows, worst case dies. Because there's some elderly members, even it doesn't just affect the elderly members, but just some elderly members on training teams, coaching staff. What happens then? Because you've kind of suggested the risk's worth it by going ahead in the first place. Yeah. So do you stop now because someone's died, or do you carry, like, it doesn't make, like, so I don't get how they can. And then, all right, Liverpool win the league. They're fans. You're saying they're not going to turn up?
That's the thing as well.
Somewhere, like, you know what I mean?
They'll have a parade. They'll have to have a parade.
Yeah, Villa's last game of the season saves himself from relegation. Villa fans, they're not going to meet up. Could possibly happen. So there's loads of different things. Morally, is it right if whatever player gets injured and they have to use up a hospital bed somewhere? It's just a weird one. Like, so
yeah,
so many question marks.
I think the big thing about like cancelling the season, being like, right, we'll start again as if that season never happened, is more promotion, relegation is like the big thing with like Leeds and West Brom. I think they're scheduled to get 50 million if they come up to the Premier League, and they only get 8 million or something if they stay in the Championship. And I think like that's where like people be most sort of upset. Only Liverpool fans are going to care about Liverpool win the league or not.
Yeah, it is.
And Everton.
I remember when it first came out and we were like, oh, wouldn't this be great? Stop Liverpool winning the league. And we were all like tongue in cheek. No one really thought it was going to happen. Then it happened. And it's like, this is incredible. You have to laugh, don't you? If you don't laugh, you're just going to cry about it. But you have to laugh. It's mental that what has happened to them. Like, from Steven Gerrard's slip to now this, it's all set up for the Scousers 18, COVID-19, United 20 banner, innit?
Yeah. So what do we think right now? We think it's just going to end.
If they end it, they'll give. I think France have probably set a precedent now for Liverpool to say, "Wow, we should be given the title."
Yeah.
And to be honest, they were going to win it anyway. So if they've got an asterisk next to it, that'll do me.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, it got into the stage over the last few years where I didn't really care what anyone else was doing. I was just focused on United, building back up. Like, as we mentioned earlier, like, United were literally just about to pop. Like, the kettle was just fully boiled. It was about to go out. That's what it felt like. And then this happened. So, like, we may as well get into United. Like, looking at the team now, Adam, What you make of it? Like Ollie's at the wheel.
I like the
How
team.
does it feel?
It feels good at the moment. I like the team. I'm glad, like, before this ended, we had that, like, is it 11 game unbeaten run?
Yeah.
Could you imagine we had played Spurs and lost, or we had lost some of the, like, the negativity that we'd have right now? It'd all be about, Poch and this and that, and it's kind of good to not have that. But the team's very likeable. I think there's still a lot of areas to improve. I think right wing's crying out for Jadon Sancho. I think defensive midfield, I think giving Matic a new contract could be a bit of a blunder, but you know, he did okay when he came back in towards the end. I just don't think he can do that over the course of the season. But maybe the idea is to blood in Jimmy Garner and Dylan Levitt or something. So
Or
I don't know.
McTominay.
Yeah, but the thing is, I think Scott McTominay is a fantastic option in midfield, as I think Fred is as well. But I don't think either of them are out-and-out defensive midfielders.
I get you.
And that's why I think letting Matic go was probably beneficial, and then bringing a new one in. But again, like, there's a few areas we need to improve. And I actually think sign Sancho, sign Igalo, maybe strengthen that defensive midfield, sort out, you know, finalise your defensive players, like the depth. And I think it would be good to challenge. And then I think the question comes whether Ollie's good enough to bring those trophies back, because he's been good enough to build the foundations. He's been good enough to bring the morale back, get us playing the right way again, build the right kind of team. Is he good enough to bring the trophies home? That's a question mark. And that's a big box you have to tick at Manchester United. You can't just, you know, get by. I think this season, next season, if we finish third, fourth, that'd be all right. But we have to be challenging, I think, in some sort of form. We can't be just scraping top four, that's for sure. Because then he has to be questioned. That's the thing with Ollie. I love him. I think he's done well. I think he's got the right theory, the right mentality. It's just a question mark. Is he the man to do it in the long term? And I think he's earned the time to prove whether he is or not.
I think he has. I think he's over. Like, he did brilliantly, did terribly, doing well again. But it's his team. Like, I mean, in the most recent game, he had signed or brought through over half the team. So therefore, it was actually his team. Right? Like, there wasn't no reminiscence of the Moyes or the Van Gaal era. But so, like, if we're just looking through, like, goalkeeper, defense, midfield, strikers, like, I think we can all agree, like, De Gea is, like, De Gea should just stay. Like, and worst case scenario, Henderson comes in and challenges him. Because also,
I'd leave Endo at Sheffield for another season or two. You know?
Yeah, because Romero's quality as a backup. Best backup goalkeeper in the world.
Yeah. And then if we're looking at the defense, I think like one centre-back is all we really need.
You have to ship out 2 or 3, though.
Yeah, I think Small and Jones out, and then someone new in.
Rojo out as well.
Yeah, well, I almost don't count him.
But then it's like Lindelof, Bailly, Twanzebe, Maguire.
Yeah.
If you get a 5th, is Axel gone?
You know, Axel's like, he hasn't blown
unless
me
we
out of the
play
water
3
ever.
a lot more. But I think Axel has a chance. You know, I mean, he was about to get his chance against Liverpool and he got injured, which is typical. But yeah, I think he's shown enough at Villa to deserve a chance. And that's just the one, like, worry. Just say we bought someone like Upamecano or something like that.
He's a beast.
I'm a big fan of Axel Twanzebe. Steve suggested something good, which was if we get Upamecano, send them Twanzebe on loan for a season because players develop well in Germany.
Yeah, he's a beast, by the way.
I do think we do play that sort of 5 at the back system. Luke Shaw, I think, can actually operate as a left centre back and then keep Brandon Williams
I think
left
we're
wing back.
accommodating for him in a position that he does well in, but we shouldn't be accommodating full-backs at left centre-back. I think Aaron Wan-Bissaka eventually could become a right centre-back, but I think that's a fit that could be natural for him. I think Luke Shaw's played well there, but is it natural for him, or are we just trying to cover for his lack of urgency going forward?
Just let him and Brandon battle it out. Like, I mean, they're both pushing each other. Luke Shaw's never played better since Brandon Williams came.
Ethan's coming through as well.
There you go. And he can also play right back as well.
Yeah.
And then also, like, Wan-Bissaka, I mean, when that video came out of Jamie Carragher praising a Man United player, I was just like, fair play to him. Fair play to him. He's
Jamie's all right, to be fair. He's not. I don't think he gets a lot of things I think he gets a few things wrong, and he got the Pogba stuff wrong. But I think he's all right sometimes.
Yeah.
I think he's all right. He's an Everton fan anyway.
Yeah. But in fairness, when Wan-Bissaka slide tackles someone, he slide tackles them from so far away and gets it right every single time.
You know
It's
what I
next
love?
level.
What I love about Wan-Bissaka is you can see him think, I'm going to let this prick think he's got me here.
Yeah.
For a split second, he just thinks, go on, you can have that space, push it, and he just, boom, takes the ball every single time. He's incredible. You even had Liverpool fans getting desperate, clipping up a video of him getting turned. He drops on the floor. They missed the bit where he blocked the cross. Like, he's a phenomenal fullback for the next 5-10 years.
Sorry, who would you start for right back for England? Trent or Wan-Bissaka? And you have to take the bias out of it. You know,
you've got to think about how England play, and for that reason, I'd say Aaron Wan-Bissaka. I think Trent's a lot better going forward, but you have Jadon Sancho and Marcus Rashford and Raheem Sterling and all those guys going forward. I think maybe international football, maybe in some of the higher level games, having an Aaron Wan-Bissaka will win you that game more than having a Trent. But there'll be the games where Trent will be the man, where you'll have more space going forward, where your fullbacks will have more time on the ball. And then that's maybe where you bring in someone like Trent. But I think if you're playing a France, Germany, Brazil, whoever, Aaron Wan-Bissaka plays, in my opinion, because he's better defensively. Yeah. And that's what you want your fullback to be doing.
They could even try him on left back. Look what Dennis Irwin done. But if you move into midfield now, I think we all agree we need a defensive midfielder who can actually play at least 30 games a season.
Thomas Partey, man.
Yeah. I saw you do the Thomas Partey versus Declan Rice video, and like I was actually breaking my heart laughing. Like, obviously being from Ireland, I'm not too sure if you're as familiar with the Declan Rice situation as we are.
With it.
Yeah. So like, you know, as Irish Man United fans, can't stand Declan Rice, and he's one of the last players I want to see at the club.
I said that on that video. They've only started thinking he's good since he stopped pretending he was Irish.
Yeah. So I look at him like, nah, not a chance. And like you said, Thomas Partey like did a number on Liverpool twice, and he's one of the best defensive-minded players I've seen play.
40 million.
Yeah, exactly. Absolute bargain basement. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like going into H&M or whatever it's called, and you find a Gucci t-shirt. You know what I mean?
Oh, TK Maxx.
TK Maxx. That's it. TK Maxx. And find the Gucci t-shirt.
Yeah. And then okay, so obviously if we can pick up Partey, it will be a Partey. But who would you put in front of them? Would you think Pogba and Bruno can actually operate together? Yeah,
man. I do.
Oh, man. How slick would that be?
I'm excited to see. I'm getting more confident. Like, for the last 12 months, I've been Pogba's off. And now in the last 2 months, I'm just like, surely he's staying now. It doesn't look like he's going to go. And I hope that's the case. I hope he signs a new deal and stays. If that happens, oh, mate, you got Pogba, Bruno, Rashford, Marshall, and potentially Sancho. No one, I think that competes with anything in world football going forward. So if you sort that out behind them, you're all right. And if McTominay continues to develop, if he could become,
he's going to push them all, Adam. He's going to make sure.
Because I think in home games,
I'm Fred.
McTominay could definitely be used as that, that pivot. But away from home in those bigger games, I'm not. I think that's
specialist.
Too much sauce. Do you know what I mean? There's just too much going. Like everything, there's too much space. So then that's where we'd go 3 at the back, 3-4-1-2, play a little bit deeper, have Rashford and Marshall and Bruno further forward. I don't know, but in home games, I definitely think a midfield three of McTominay, Bruno, and Pogba, or Fred, Bruno, and Pogba could work. And you're just having that competition for places again as well, which is great. Igalo came in. And Martial didn't stop scoring again. You had Luke Shaw challenged by Brandon Williams. You see an improvement in his performances. So it's good to have that competition as well. Yeah. And maybe even Pogba seeing there's another man in town. Like I'm not one of those that thinks Pogba's been poor for United. He was in the PFA Team of the Year last year by merit. I think he's one of the best midfielders in the league, and he was definitely our best player. But maybe even the arrival of Bruno will bring a little bit more out of him. Yeah, that's the thing about Pogba now. Like, obviously teams are losing revenue, and he's one of the most expensive players in the world without a doubt. Hopefully he can't get a move,
and that he's really going to have to step up his game, because he'll be absolutely disgusted with himself if someone like Scott McTominay is taking his position, because the way he sees himself as like the world champ. And then,
But I think
you know,
I think it's easy to forget. I know Bruno came in and Bruno was amazing, but it's easy to forget Pogba has done that a lot for United. And he's not had the luxury of having, you know, a more settled team around him and all that. So I do think it's interesting to see when he comes in how that fits, what Ollie's working on as well, because he will have to. I do think Pogba can play a deeper role and Bruno can play further forward, or they can swap. And I think we played our best football under Ollie in the 4-3-3 when we had Matic, Herrera and Pogba. So how he gets that working will be interesting. And he loves a scrap as well, which is all right.
Yeah,
so,
I think they're all pushing each other on Adam. That's 100% true. But if we move into the forwards, right? Obviously you have like Rashford now playing on the left, Martial up top.
Let's just say Sancho on the right. Let's just put him in there. You know what I mean? Let's wish him in there.
Yeah. Just speak it into existence like everything else.
Is that the way you have them lined up? Yeah, and then they could possibly interchange if they.
Yeah, then you got Igalo who can come in. In some games you could play Igalo as the focal point, but you need to be more physical and bring Martial and Rashford either side of him. You know, Greenwood and
Greenwood can play anywhere.
Let's not forget Mason Greenwood. But I think what the beauty is, you see how you've not mentioned him there. That's the beauty of it. He's coming through, and I think he's a generational talent with phenomenal ability to score goals off either foot.
He takes
but
penalties
he's coming through,
both feet.
And the pressure's on Martial and Rashford and all. And if we buy Sancho, it's going to be, oh my God, £100 million Sancho. And Mason Greenwood's just going to be quietly developing in the background. And I wouldn't be surprised to see him go to the Euros next year.
Yeah. Mason Greenwood is going to be the Dennis Irwin of strikers. Yeah, he can do it from both feet. He can do it anywhere.
And I think he's going to keep Rashford and Martial on their toes as well.
Yeah, because
you're Rashford and Martial are the young things coming through, and they've got their best years ahead of them. But you've also got this fella coming behind you who wants your spot.
Iron sharpens iron,
and he's good enough as well. Yeah, and it's going to be great to see. And I think those three, Sancho, growing together, it's something to hopefully bring titles back.
That's a trio. That's a trio that could be there for 5 years altogether. What about Igalo? Like, obviously he's here on loan.
Who needs to make that permanent?
I think so as well.
Yeah,
I think he's the perfect
because he loves the club.
Not just that, but it makes sense short term. It'd be pretty cheap, I'd imagine. He wants to sign for us. Just talk about Aubameyang and Moussa Dembele and all these
Harry
guys.
Kane.
We're not spending 200 million. Let's be real. Let's just put that on the side straight away. Maybe if we went in for Sancho, all right, maybe Harry Kane's a possibility. But I think Sancho is more needed than him. And I don't think Ollie will want to put Martial's or Rashford's nose out of place yet by bringing in someone like that.
Yeah. Who do you think has more upside, Rashford or Martial?
Martial.
I think so, yeah. Do you want to tell us why?
I think Rashford, he's got that. I think Rashford's like, the penny's dropped with him in terms of, I've got that tunnel vision. I'm going to improve every single week. And I think we have seen that with Martial. But I think there's a lot more to come from Martial as well. And I think with Rashford, I think it's just a case of, we've probably seen, he's going to improve, but if he keeps going like that, I think that's how good he's going to be. And I think that's amazing. And I think that Rashford now can get 30, 40 goals a season. But Martial, I think, has got a higher ceiling, and I think there's a lot more to come from him.
Yeah,
but I do think
he's definitely a better finisher, Martial.
100%. But then Rashford, I hate people comparing them because they're completely different players. Rashford will do things that Martial doesn't, and Martial will do things that Rashford can't. And it's like in both of them, we've got everything there. And I think I've seen improvements from Martial this season where he's leading the line, he's working hard, and people don't like to give him credit for that because he looks like he's French. He walks around he's got that face on him like a smacked ass half the time. But that's just
and
him.
That's his happy face. That's his happy face.
And that's just him. But the fact is, I think he's actually settled a lot more as well. His family life off the pitch has settled down. You got to remember, he's a young boy that came to United. He seemed to be smashing anything that moved, getting into trouble with his missus. Like, didn't know the country. Like, he was all
And
over the gaff
his
off the
debut
pitch.
goal. Remember his debut goal against Liverpool?
Yeah, a manager comes in that doesn't like him.
Yeah.
He scores 10 goals, gets 10 assists in a season. Then he gets dumped to the bench for Alexis Sanchez. Like,
his number robbed as well.
yeah, like he had a lot of things to be, and people can say, "Oh, it's a number, rise to the challenge," but he's human as well. Do you know what I mean? And I think he seems to have settled now, so I think there's a lot more to come from him. There's a lot more
you're also establishing pecking order when you rob somebody, right? It was like, right, we have Zlatan, and he's here, and you're down here. You know what I mean?
And then Zlatan left, and Lukaku got it, and it was like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Like, so yeah. I think Marshall's probably my favourite player.
I think he was trying to get AM9 as a brand as well. You know that?
Yeah, he did. He set up the website. All that. Remember Tom Cleverley's TC23 and all that.
Yeah. Oh, don't mind him. He was an absolute fraud.
Mate, do you remember the good times of that midfield? Nani, Anderson, Cleverley, and Young. They were good times.
It was called Spanking Arsenal A2.
I thought that was a future. We beat City in the Community Shield with that as well, didn't we?
Alex Ferguson always getting the best players. Welbeck as well. Fucking shocking. Here's a quiz.
I'll have no Welbeck slander anyway.
How many goals, the Premier League goals, did Danny Welbeck score for Man United?
Let's not bring reality into this. Yeah, I just want to remember Danny Welbeck for the hero that he was.
like McKola. like McKola. But,
mate, McKola, what a goal that was as well.
Yeah, that was a great interview you had with him as well. But so we're going. We need Sancho on the right, Partey, and then what defender?
I don't think we're going to sign any defender. If I signed one, maybe up a McKola. But that's because I think Koulibaly would be a great signing, but 70, 80 million for a fella that's 30. Someone said to me the other week, like, Smalling looks amazing in Serie A. What if that's just the case with Koulibaly? And I thought, oh my God, what if he's right?
Like, don't say that.
When Smalling comes back, obviously it's sort of like Maguire, and then Lindelof and Bailey are fighting out for like 2 and 3. Does Smalling come in at 4, or does he like join that 2 and 3
doesn't
battle?
come back.
No?
Not for me.
He's enjoying the pasta over there. Fair play to him.
Mate, I think the move is best for both.
Yeah.
United have got him in the shop window. He's settled. He looks good where he is at Roma. But if you watched him, like, I remember was it Adrian Durham was on TalkSport talking rubbish. Oh, United should bring in Smalling back and make him their first. And it's like, mate, I guarantee you haven't watched one game of Serie A and haven't watched one game of Italy, of Roma to see Smalling. He still has the same inadequacies. They play with a lot more defenders. He still struggles to pass out from the back.
Yeah.
Those are still the issues that he's going to have.
Yeah, he wasn't brought up playing like that.
And he'll always have a rick in him. Smalling was great for United at times. I remember him bossing
serious
Harry
rugby player
Kane,
as well.
bossing the cat. Yeah, he'd love to get involved. But then I remember times when he was diving at Newcastle to concede a free kick, and they went and scored. Like, whose centre half dives outside the box when we're on the break? Like, it doesn't. He had no just brain farts way too many times, and
some bad hairstyles.
Sent off in the FA Cup final, was it?
Yeah.
It's like big moments where he messed up for us. I just think stop with these false dawns with Smalling and Jones. Cut our losses, get rid.
But let's finish off on a positive, Adam.
Yes.
Can we challenge for the title next year?
If we have a good summer, yes.
If we get Jadon Sancho in and we have a party in midfield, can we challenge for the title?
I believe so, but that's when Ollie will really come into question. Because if we're not, and we're not comfortably top 4, okay, let's say we don't challenge, but we're comfortably top 4, that's improvement. So we have to be comfortably a Champions League team next season, not just getting in it because City have been banned or hoping we're getting it through the Europa League. So, but yeah, we need to be challenging.
I think within like 15 points of whoever wins the league is good.
If you spend 80 million and 50 million on 2 of your back 4, then you buy, let's say you bought a party and you're buying a midfielder and Bruno Fernandes, and you buy Jadon Sancho.
And Sanchez to come back.
Let's not go there. We thought we were ending this positively.
I know, man.
So if you've actually given him those signings, then I think you've sufficiently backed him. And I think he'd have no arguments with being questioned on whether we should be challenging or not. Because you got to look, City are going to be in a bit of period of change maybe. Who knows what happens with Liverpool in the summer?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they have opportunities.
So I think they're going to chop and
you know?
change a bit. Yeah, I think they're going to chop and change a bit, which could be good for them, that they're forward thinking and they're changing before it goes stale. But if they get them transfers wrong, then they could maybe drop a few points. So you're going to need to drop more than a few points, but you know what I mean. So you never know. Things can change very quickly in football, but we need a good summer.
Brilliant.
We need a good summer.
I can't wait for the football to come back, but just before we wrap the things up, I just want to say thanks a million for coming on the show. What you're doing is absolutely brilliant.
Appreciate it, man. We'll have to get you on sometimes.
Yeah, that'd be brilliant, man.
Sometimes I'll give you a shout.
Yeah, cheers, man. But like, thanks a million for coming on. We could actually talk to you for so long. I'm sure people listening now are like, don't stop, lads. But thanks a million for coming on. Just keep killing the work, man. Like, you're doing a great job. I really do, like, you are very, very good at doing the interviews as well.
Appreciate it.
Shout out to all the lads as well that are doing the shows as well. As Ross said, Andy Tate, the legend.
Yeah.
All the boys are doing a great job, and like, you are really getting all the fans in and watching it, which is brilliant for us as well. But,
glory, Man United. Glory, full-time Devils.
Nice.
If you love this video and you love Man United, make sure to like, share, subscribe, and as always,
stay energized.
Stay energized.